Hello again, this is Ms. Bushra again, and we're back again for another lesson, continuing what we started from chapter 1. We're at section 3. Just for your information, whoever wants the booklet, you can find it in Zhyar photocopy in Bahar Karot. So, let's start. We're at muscular system. The muscular system, or sometimes it's referred to as a motor system, it is made of muscles. Absolutely. The thing here is that when you say muscle alone without saying tissue, cell afterwards, it's an organ. It's referring to an organ. Why it's an organ? The reason why we call it an organ because it's made of muscle tissue, blood vessels, nerves, and connective. That's the reason why we called it the organ. Now, what is this organ able to do? It's able to contract. Remember, contracting, it is when the cells becoming shorter and longer, making a movement in a coordinated fashion. Coordinated fashions, they're doing it together. All together, they're going to contract. All together, they're relaxing. That's what it means, coordinated. Muscle function. See, muscles majorly is doing two things for us. It's adding to the bulk of the body, the mass of the body. 1/3 of the whole body is muscle. 1/3. Okay? Like that. And then their ability to contract and relax creates movement. And this is the function of muscle. Everywhere in the body, muscles are able to create movement. Either they're directly moving the thing, like how your bicep and tricep move your arm, or they're making sure they're pushing the substances, like how heart is a muscle and pushing the blood throughout your vessels. Now, this contraction and relaxation enables the body to move, like we said, and provides forces to push substances, just like we said in the example of the blood. Check this out. There's like a lot of muscles here. It's good to know all these, in my opinion. There's no harm in learning every one of these. But the major ones that are mentioned in this book are deltoid, triceps, biceps. Okay, later we're gonna study two of the thigh muscles as well, and we need those in chapter 4. But remember, deltoid is this part, okay? It's like covering the shoulder. While bicep and tricep, here is bicep, and this is tricep. It's like behind it. These are a must to learn on this picture. Yani whatever muscles mentioned in the book by its name, you should know where it's located here. Let's check this out. We talked about the types of muscle and we said we have 3 types of muscles. Among these 3 types of muscle, we have 2 of them that are working unconsciously. They are looking more or so similar. And one of them that is special and can work according to your own conscious mind. Any voluntary. Okay? Good. Let's see where can I find them. Of course, the skeletal muscle starts from your facial features, like everywhere, when you can control it, your hands, your legs, your limbs, whatever part of the body that you can control by conscious mind, okay? Smooth muscle, however, it's everywhere else that you cannot control it voluntary, except heart. Why? Because heart has its own type of muscle called cardiac muscle. So cardiac muscle have one example. The rest of involuntary ones are all smooth muscle. Like what? Like stomach, intestine, blood vessel, bladder, uterus, internal organs. Anywhere that there is muscle and you can't control it, it's a smooth muscle. Good. Check this out. Let me make it into a drawing. It's better. Okay. See, if you can tell that these are very long, it's cut here. But those look different than these. Each one of these muscles have its own shape. Let's see. Let's have a new page. And colors. You can draw with me if you want to. Actually, I recommend you to draw. Drawing by yourself is the best thing you could do. Let's start with skeletal muscle. Skeletal muscle, you will find them in long fibers like that. Many together. They're very long, longer than this too. Sometimes they are like up to 30 centimeters, just for your information. Not only that, they're very long, but they also have multiple nucleuses. That means each cell is so long that they have more than one nucleus inside them, which is not something common in the body. Usually what we learn about cells is that they have one nucleus, but here we have multi-nucleated cell. Got it? Another thing about these, they have striped appearance. Did you see like the meat of salmon, how it's like striped? There's like these serrations there. It's like that too. And they're microscopic, but of course. See, muscles have these, and later we're learning how did they get them. These are called serrations. Serrations, Okay. So, they're long, they're multinucleated, they have these serrations, and when there are a bunch of them, they create a structure together called fascicles. Yani a bunch of these muscles create something called what? Fascicles. Tamam? Fascicles, a bunch of them. Since they're very long, instead of us saying these are muscle cells, we're going to call them muscle fiber. Muscle fiber is equal to say muscle cell. It's no difference. The only reason why we call fiber it's because it's long. Good. Now, let's check it out. There you go. The muscle fibers, like we said, they group into fascicles. When they become groups, they call fascicles. They're elongated, very long, contains many nucleuses called multinucleated, and they are serrated. They are also the only ones that are voluntary. Voluntary means that controlling it by your will. That's what it means. Write it down if you don't know it. Let's head on to the other two. Let's try to draw them. Okay. This time we're going to do smooth muscle. Smooth muscle looks this way, okay? It's called spindle shape. Spindle is when both ends are narrow, but the middle is thicker. That's what it means. And they create interlaced sheets. Since their shape helping them to create this complementary shapes of each other like that. Do you see? They look like fish, like in a herd. And then there is one nucleus in the middle. Again, let's see it. What did we say? They are spindle shape. That means pointy at the end, thicker in the middle. They also have single nucleus. There's no striations, no lines at all. You can write this down if you want to. No striations. And then they create interlaced sheets. Sheets are when layers are piling up on each other. And when you say interlaced, means they are complementary like that. Okay? Some of this part is over the other one. Okay? Interlaced sheets. Again, they have this spindle shape, and you can even draw it. These are the characteristics of the cell. Of course, function-wise, they're involuntary muscles. Don't forget about that. Good. Cardiac muscle. Remember, cardiac muscles are branched like this. They are short cells and cylindrical in shape, but they have branch. It's a very, very unique characteristic of these cells. See, these cells are like this. They have a single nucleus within them, but they have the branches. So what we're going to write, they're cylindrical in shape, they are short, and they are branched. However, these there is like something that is similar to smooth muscle, which is they have nucleus. What nucleus? Single nucleus. Single nucleus. And another thing that looks exactly like skeletal muscle, which is having the striations like this. So this is how cardiac muscle looks like. There you go. It's written here, short, cylindrical, branched, single nucleus. It's involuntary. These two things are similarities between cardiac muscle and smooth muscle, while having these stripes or striations is similarity between cardiac and skeletal muscles. There is almost no familiarity or similarity between the smooth and skeletal in the book. If you look at this picture, it's obvious, do you see these lines? These are showing the striations on skeletal muscle. This one doesn't have it. You see the cardiac, it has it, but it's like zoomed out since these are microscopic pictures. You see these irregular shapes because of the branching. They are not sitting on each other very quite, how can I say it? Fitting, okay? All right, check this out. Here it says tendons are for skeletal muscle. Tendons are for skeletal muscle. Let's not forget about that. Why? Because tendon is binding muscle to bone. Smooth muscle is not binding to bone. It's in internal organs. So smooth muscle have connective tissue, but it doesn't become a tendon. The only type of muscle that have a tendon is a skeletal muscle. These are similarities between cardiac and skeletal, and then cardiac and smooth muscle, and we talked about it. This is the striation, and this is 2, which is involuntary and having a single nucleus. Of course, there are definitions for these. Muscle fiber, like we said, it's equal of saying muscle cell. So it's cell level. Muscle is organ level. Okay? Fascicles, they are formed when a bunch of muscles tied together by a connective tissue. All right? Good. Of course, these two. Tying muscle to bone is through tendon. Tying bone to bone is through ligament. You can clearly see this is a muscle, this is a bone, and a tendon connects them. And this is 2 bones connected by ligaments. As for the rest of it, we have muscle structure. See, muscle structure is how it starts and how it ends, and how the structure is interconnectedly make sure that there will be a movement happening. So a muscle, one muscle that is an organ, it's made of hundreds to thousands of fascicles. Okay, fascicles, and then the fascicles are also made of hundreds and thousands of fibers. How was that supposed to mean, and how can we, visually imagine it? You have like the picture in the book, but I'm gonna draw this for you as well. See, if this is a muscle, one muscle, and I'm trying to represent it by making it bigger, like that, and then there is this. Inside these, we have fascicles. Of course, I made the fascicles bigger because I want you to see it. There you go. I will make one fascicle big enough for you to see. Let's make sure that we make this clear enough. This is one fascicle that I'm going to show you. There you go. And this fascicle, of course, it's made of smaller particles, which is the muscle fiber itself, the cells. Let's make sure that one of them is representing the rest of it. There it is. This is a muscle fiber. A muscle fiber is also further divided into smaller parts. Now I'm going to represent it here. There you go. All right, so this is a muscle, let's not forget. This is a fascicle, and this is a muscle cell, which is, we call it muscle fiber. Of course, we think that muscle fiber is the smallest things for contraction, but within these muscle fibers, there are proteins that helps with that. Two particular proteins. We have it here. Let's draw them, okay? One of them is a bit thick like that, and with heads, we're having it here. We call it myosin. It's thick and it's bigger, while we have like one smaller and it's twisted like this, made of beads. Later we're gonna draw with what we mean by beads. This one is called actin. Okay, we have again muscle made of like hundreds of fascicles, and fascicles made of hundreds to thousands of muscle fibers, and within the muscle fibers we have two protein, myosin and actin, like that. If you want to draw it, it's better for you, and I recommend it again. However, let's head back here. It says it here. We have like densely packed group of muscle fibers called fascicles. However, fascicles are just in skeletal muscles. We don't have it in smooth and cardiac. Don't forget about that. They're made of hundreds and thousands of skeletal muscle fibers. These numbers seem to be, something travels, but they are actually important. They are very important. Sometimes they bring it in multiple choices, and you can like remember these answers very easily with them. Now, muscle fiber make up most of the muscle tissue. That means that the cells of muscles are not the only ones there. Since muscle is an organ, we can find other tissues there too, like connective tissue, like blood vessels, nerves are all there. Remember, the fibers or the cells are made of myofibrils. Remember actin and myosin? Together they're called myofibril. Alone, the thick one is myosin, there you go. Thin is actin, and thick, where is the thick? Okay. The thin actin filaments are anchored at the endpoints called Z lines. Later we're going to mention these, but you can write it. This is thin. This is thick. Okay. However, something I did not draw is these. You see these purple lines that I drew over it? These are called Z lines. They have these zigzag shape. That's why they're called Z lines. However, these Z lines are repetitively there. And not only that, the Z lines are like this. Let's see. I'm going to use the same color palette as the book so that you can understand what I'm representing. This is a Z line. You can clearly see that at the Z lines, there is the actins anchored. Anchors means they're attached, like that. Okay? Of course, it's going to repeat itself and stuff like that. I'm not going to draw all of it. All right? However, between these, we have the myosins. These are myosins. These are called myosin heads or oval heads. Myosin is thick, having oval heads, while actin are twisted and made of beads. What do we mean by saying made of beads? It's something like that, just like tasbih. Okay? Imagine if you have a tasbih with you and you twist both sides together, they create something like this, right? This is how it looks. So you twist it like that and it represents the actins. So that's how it looks. And there's also more myosin, more actin. Not only that, This is not the only structure present in a cell. This is repeated. There's another Z line there, then there's more actin and myosin, and more and more and more. There's a lot of them. So between two Z lines, we will name this area. We will call a sarcomere. In Kurdish, they call parça masulka, or like a piece of like muscle, because this is where all action happens. And when a place or a structure within like a bigger form, it's going to do majority of the function that we're waiting for, we will call functional unit. Okay, so the functional unit of all muscle is a sarcomere. What is a sarcomere? It's the area between two Z lines where actin and myosins are present. And at Z line, only actin is attached to it, myosin is not attached. The way that the book is describing it doesn't say attached, it says anchored. Good. Whatever we mentioned just now, we put it here. Remember, muscle fiber is one cell, but when you say skeletal muscle fiber, it means the cells of the skeletal muscle. We specified a bit. Fascicles are made of packed and densely packed ones of these skeletal muscles, not smooth, not cardiac. Myosin is thick protein. Both of them are protein, thin protein. So there's this similarity between them. Thickness and thin, this is like a difference. This one has extensions, oval shaped, we called oval head in myosin, and actin are made of twisted strands of beads. Connective tissue. Connective tissue covers and supports muscle organ, and then it covers and supports fascicle, it covers and supports individual muscle fibers as well. Z lines are lines, they are like this, formed by the attachment of actins, okay? Attachment of actins. Sarcomere is the basic, it's exactly the same what we said. Basic unit of contraction, or saying functional unit of muscle, is the same thing. It means it's where all the actions happen. Now, what does the control of the muscle movement depend on? Remember, muscle could never work without nerve. See, if somebody, their brain is shut down, or partially some parts are shut down, you will see that some muscles are not working, depending on which part. So that's why you know that nerves are controlling muscles. Not only that, muscles are highly active. They need a lot of oxygen and nutrients. And in order to do that, they need also blood vessels. So remember, muscle also drive their energy from their nutrients. And where do nutrients come from? Blood vessels. Remember, arteries are bringing blood and blood with nutrients and oxygen, while the veins are taking it away. So a healthy muscle needs two things: a nerve, a healthy nerve, and a good supply of blood. See, if you lack oxygen or you lack nutrients that the blood takes it also going to affect your activity of the muscle. That was it for today. Tomorrow we're going to start a new part, which is the muscle contraction and how they work together and how they complement each other in order to have this harmonized unit of like function. Thank you very much for listening. See you next lesson.